They were instructed to establish Sundance Ceremonies. As a caretaker of the Star Medicine Stone, as well as many others, Chief GreyEagle utilizes these sacred objects in all his ceremonies. Chief GreyEagle has dedicated himself to serving. It is a commitment that he upholds to this day. So once again, thank you, Chief GreyEagle, for your service.
Apologize. Yesterday I got too excited. You guys have too much energy. So, as you notice, some of the elders from the state, they share of where they come from and who their people are. So, I kind of had to have a little talk with myself. Yes, the coyote way, the clown way gets in my way, and I stay in trouble a lot. So, Imafu, Pogani. Imafu is our ancestor grandfather. Pogani, Horo is the beloved ones, the grandmoms and grandpas, our ancestors. And I ask again permission to speak today. And for 8 kids. Who has 8 kids anymore? So I'm always, sorry, Mom. But when growing up with that many siblings, that was a busy house. We all had our fixed income. And Mom could cook. Her grandma that raised her had 14 kids. So, big lot beyond related to the southern side of Oklahoma. I'm still finding relatives, So I just want to pay my respects to them and I see the our language is very important to communicate with them. This morning, again, that took me to some wonderful places of seeing their faces and seeing and feeling them dance with me. That was powerful. How many was here for that this morning, guys? I'm floating, you feel like. Hello? Is it on? Sorry, I can't help it sometimes. It's Terry's fault. So, South Dakota, my name is GreyEagle. The responsibility of that too, when you're given the name, is a responsibility. Everyone talked about a lot of these things. We learn these things, have a responsibility. When these things come to us, and we caretake of it, I don't own anything. We own nothing. But our flesh, our pain, the blood within us, the sacred blood. It's not violence. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be afraid. It's all part of all of us. So, and sharing with that, learning, you heard the story of where I kind of come from, learning the Sundance. We talked about the tree. I'm sorry to pressure you today. The chimpanzee is not our closest relative. It's the tree. What does the tree give every day? What do we give out? The trees. So please, hug your relatives. You can't take your shoes off. Go hug a tree. Say, I want the tree. So, when we're grounding on Mother Earth with our moccasins, with bare feet, just like with the trees. That's your closest relative. Great teachers. Many are connected all over the earth. So, we're getting that energy from all over the earth. So, you're feeling the relatives from everywhere. So when something lives and something goes, we all feel it. We all feel it. So. This Sundance tree, when we get these things, this cottonwood comes, it's from the stars. It's in the stars in that tree. So we go every year and we take that life to teach the boys and the men. It's our way to stand up, be who you are. Because today, we see what the men are acting like today. Because they haven't learned their higher purpose. They haven't stood and had their coming of age, show them the respect, the honor, make them part of the circle. When I went to Japan, I noticed flags flying in the yard. I said, what is this? As we're driving down the road, I said, it's Girls' Day. And every home with a girl in it, they put that flag outside. And they fly that flag. So all these, in a certain month, I can't remember now what month. And I took a second trip, and then there's another flag. And I said, what's this flag? It's Boys' Day. So they have a flag for the boys, and every home recognizes and acknowledges the boy, the male and the female. So they pay honor and pay respect to that and keep the children apart of what they're doing. So Star Nation, and the gift of this, singing these songs when we go to prepare, and we go and take this life, and the men we try and catch it. There's no other greater feeling I can think of when you have all your boys and your men together, and we take this life and we do it in a sacred manner, and we catch it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and to carry it and take it out. We have the big arbor, and we take it and pray with it for directions and sing it in. And the women all go into the Sundance circle, and they lay all the shawls and the blankets and whatever to that center. Because the tree's not going to touch the ground. You can't touch the ground. Then we get to paint it up, doctor it. We get to make our medicine bundle. And we get to put all your flags and your ties, your prayers are made for it. And to tie it in the tree. Women and children first, and then the boys and the men go after them. We tie all those prayers in, and then we lift it. We tie our ropes on it, and we lift it, we stand it, and we plant it in the ground, in Mother Earth. Women's energy, the polarities. Your energy goes through. The men dance and into that tree, and the energy goes out. So that's why we kind of have a little different energies at times. It's going one way, we're going the other way. But that's the way Creator made it. This morning, we noticed they said when the pipes come around, if you're on your moon time, that does not exclude you. You're just as safe. It's just time for respect because you're in purification. That's the sacred ceremony. You're already in that ceremony. You're already in that portal of that energies you talk about. So we weren't excluding you. There's nothing wrong. Because I have daughters, and I have 5 sisters. I still have 5 sisters. So the power and strength of women I've known for a long time, and the Choctaw Mound. So it's that balance that you need. Like Buffalo Calf Woman talked about, the bringing of the pipe, teaching of the pipe to the men. You know what she told the women? Support them. Support the men. Help them do what they need to do, because you already have the gift. We have to go into lodge once a month, just as the woman gives once a month. So purify. So the men need to be in the lodge at least once a month, purify. Fast or something, you know. Give up something. So they're going through it all those months, right? The cycles, others talk about it. So the men need to do that. We got to go Sundance. We got to go fast in Sundance to get closer to Spirit so that we can understand these things that come and how to walk in the Spirit. Grandma talked about we're not perfect. We're just going to learn it. When you get teachings, you got to carry it and you got to walk with it. But it doesn't belong to me. Not being too serious, everybody's long face. All rise. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
So I just wanted to share that. I just needed to apologize to my ancestors, my grandmas and grandpas, and to know that why I do this too is because of them. I started working for my Choctaw Nation, and I was following these ways, and this elder came to me. I've known her most of my life, lived in a small town. She came in my office, she said, "You need to quit doing that. That's not Choctaw." I was taught you don't argue with the elders either, you know, so I listened to her. She's kind of grumpy all the time, but I always tease her and said, "I love you." She'd go back to her office. She'd come in and tell me, "Yeah, sing? Ask her what she does this Choctaw. So once you listen, and I listened. So she told me, I said, I'm learning a native way through another brother and another sister, indigenous way. Teach me in Choctaw. I can learn their language and their song. Teach me in Choctaw a healing song. She just went. I said, so don't get on to me for something that you can't do yourself. So I'm not trying to be ugly with you, but I just, I listen to you, I go pray. I come back and you still get on to me. So each one has a right to their voice, and then I have a right to speak after that. So be respectful and share what the Creator said. Ask her what she does. So she quit. She loved me more after that, She stayed grumpy. She stayed grumpy. She was just one thing. She wasn't grumpy, she wasn't happy. We knew something was wrong with her. Kind of like my mom. Mom, can you grab my water for me? Got water right here? This cup. Speaking of water, Grandma, I bring 5 gallons with me because the water on the land there is 150 foot down. Find your water. It's activated. Stuff in the stores is not activated. Yes, we have to use it along the way, but even when I go to other sweats, I take a 5 gallon with me. I don't like to pour. Found bankruptcy on whatever debt I had. I just went to nothing. But I know that's very hard to do today. I didn't have any children or family or companion at the time, so I was wide open. And Mom thought I was losing my mind. She was telling my friends and everyone, somebody needs to talk to you. Something wrong. When you're drinking and drugging, ain't nothing wrong with you. Come on in, we love you, brother. But then when you go and get away from all that, you sweat and you're purified. There's something wrong with you. Mom, I knew she loved me, and I was learning, and then I went back, and she was elderly and living by herself, so I went back and stayed with her, and that's when I started working at the nation. But she knew what I was doing, and living out there. Keep praying, keep dancing, keep praying. About third year, I had the most beautiful dream. And in that dream, she wrote me the most beautiful, amazing poem that I'd ever seen or heard. And she read it to me. And it was her accepting me as her son and what I was doing and the direction I was going. I never said anything to her about that dream. I just watched. She never gave me a hard time. She never said anything. She started bringing people. Oh, my son does that. Come on. She's finding it. She's bringing food out for everybody. She went today for the piercing part. Tell me when it is. She's going casino anyways. Good excuse, Mom. But she brings food. When she cooks, everybody run to the car to help. I grow squash, and she makes this casserole. Everybody run to the car and get the casserole. You missed it, you missed it. Sorry. So, but that is the power of prayer and our dance. And you'll walk, we're all walking, we're all dancing in some way. We're all doing something. We're not separate. There's no separation. I pray for you. I don't know you, but I pray for you. All my relations. Right? We're dancing. For everyone on the earth. songs are very important too. Another responsibility to carry the songs, be drum keepers, teach our boys to understand that respect for that spirit. Without that fire keeper, it's hard to have a ceremony. So, with the drum, the singers, all that goes. I've heard of Sundances before in the old days when the guys were drinking too much, but one guy told me the story. He said, we didn't have any singers show up, so we just put a cassette on it, our Sundance songs on it. Because the elders said, hey, we gotta dance. And sorry, this is grandfather, we gotta do this. But they just wanted to keep it going. They didn't want to stop because there's no singers. But so they had a Sundance. So keep it going. Again, I was born and raised there in southeast Oklahoma in the Choctaw Nation, which I always say Indian territory, because I'm on my grandpa's land, and it never was anyone else's. It was his and his people's. And, it's our little paradise there. Well, 20 acres left, but I get to raise my daughters there, and now they're happy children. I got a grandson and a granddaughter, a new 2-month-old. That was real. Just because I get her in the mornings, I get her in the evenings, and mom's got something to do. I can rock in the chair and I get to sing songs to her. You don't have to speak. You just look into the eyes, just like I looked at all of y'all. I said, many stories. But just the source. We're looking at the source. That's where they all is. So I miss them. I miss my daughters, but yeah, teenage, 19, 20-year-old. Yeah, whatever, Dad. But those babies just, yeah, I'll be ready to get home and see them. Get out of the way, kids. We're getting ready for a Vision Quest coming up too. So next month. Yeah, and we talk about Chief Golden Eagle and on his starways, and Grandma Silver Star. I know what she's thinking about us, probably praying to nudging real good. I know has she been here, Terry? Grandma Silver Star? She's been here before, yeah. Okay. Her and I had a long talk about December, about 4 hours is on the phone. Because her and I, when knowledge started in 96, I was going to the Elder Walking Bear, but she was there. And I didn't know her that well. I just knew all that stuff was happening. I was going there to hear some people speak. But I was just focused on the dance. And now me and her talked about that 96 Sundance and something started out. She said, do you know that Chief Oracle Looking Horse was there that day? I said, no, I do. Yeah, it was him and many of the leaders were there that day at that Sundance. I said, no way. She said, yes, way. Grandma's cool. Yes, way. If you know Grandma Silverstar, you know. So we had that long talk and shared these stories, and she was just giggling, and I was giggling like, oh, you didn't know. I didn't know that. You didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that either, you know. Just to share those moments, and we were there at the same time. We just didn't know each other. So the chiefs, the leaders were there. I don't know how them guys thought I had Sundance. And I was like, no, I just was there to offer dance. Me and my other brother, Walking Bear's son, that was our first dance. We were there together. He said, I think it's about second day. Yeah, second day. Me and him were kind of, we thought we was young guys. We was double stick. We was young. Thought we was cool the first time. So during the break, all of a sudden the leaders all got together. We thought, oh, what's going on? All the leaders in the sweat lodge. Now, we're on break, so I'm like on the back of the bus. I go to the back of the rest area. I stay out of the way, stay out of trouble. The leaders come back out of the sweat sweat it. And this, a spirit said there's going to be a portal open up over this dance, this next round. And all the leaders have to pierce. They're all getting ready. But they said, we need one more guy. I'd already talked to him before, how fourth day, fourth round. I wanted to go, well, okay, I'll go then. Wait for the last minute. Professional procrastinator. I stayed last round. I don't want to do it. Anyway, they get on it and they go through all the guys. There's all these guys have been dancing forever. And they, me and my buddies back there going, don't look at me, don't call me. And at the time I was spirit hop. I shared that earlier about spirit hop. They come in, spirit hop. Galen and John got in my face. Come on, we need one more guy. Just appears. I said, nah, I'm good. Come on, you can do it. Come on, go with us. I'm not a leader. I don't know. My first time, I'm just here. So, no, come on, you can do it. Come on. We're just going to do one side. One side, and then you can go for a day, for do the other side. Oh, no. Because I was there the year before, just supporting, watching all that. So they talked me into it. We got my robe and went out and set it all up. I thought I won the Super Bowl. It was like, the big alien goes, or little alien said, go talk to him. And the big alien come over and goes, you all right? Yeah. You know you got to go to that tree 4 times. Go there and pray. Go there and pray. 4 times before you go. All right, good. He said, but on that 4th time, take a little jog. Turn around. I'll catch you. Do it. You know, grandma's and grandpa. Do it. Okay, I got the instructions now. So I pray, I go back. And someone gifted me the robe.
No.
It wasn't my robe, it was somebody else's robe. It was a 100-pound robe. Nobody told me to get the light robe, you know. When that robe danced and that tree and that wind hit it, I was like, yeah, all right. Okay, 4th time. I took off running and turned backwards and it sounded like a gun went off. Boom! Galen didn't catch me. Little Galen and John back there kept me from going out the circle. And then I won the Super Bowl and they ran me around the circle. And I come back later and I said, hey, you did it. Little Galen, big Galen said he's going to catch me. He can't catch you. You can't see him one eye and out of the other. So, eye in the other. He didn't have his glasses on, so I can't see him one eye. He stood there going, hey. Thanks. So I pierced with all those leaders. Now look at me. Like I said, Grandma, I didn't. They made me do it. Get out there. Then Chief, when we got the bundle and we went to Oklahoma with the first Sundance, we're all dancing down there. And we didn't have no grass. It was just clay, sand, and he's talking about hot. He's like, keep dancing. You won't have no ankle problems. I don't have no feet. He's talking, it's hot. And we were doing it in July. We're down to dancing. Finally, we took a break. He goes, you know how to take flesh? No. Well, get out there. I said, no. I know you did. Get out there. I started learning. Everybody's all, oh. Maybe you don't know about flesh offering. We give a little something and then tie it up. You tie it to the tree. It's flesh is our only thing we own. It's one of the greatest gifts. Our tears, our flesh, our blood. It's a gift. We give it back. Am I being too serious? Okay. So they began to tell me these other things about who you are and where you come from in the spirit ways, in this lightning way, as Brother shared too. do it, then the Spirit's going to push you up there and say, do it. It's time. You have to stand up. It's in all of us. But everybody says, I'm afraid. Well, don't say that. I get nervous. I'm nervous. I'm sweating up here. I've done it many times. You still do it. It's okay. Because you're two-legged. It's okay.
Still not clear on this one.
Just be you. You're created for a reason. You have a purpose. So, again, start your circles wherever you're at with your talking circles of your people, your family. You start there. I got to know my new son-in-law through a talking circle. Didn't really know him, The daughter had, going through the relationship. So I said, in the fall, we have a camp out and do a talking circle where everybody can share. We have a little staff in the Eagle family and show respect. So whoever has that staff has the floor. No one speaks, no one talks. You respect that person, that voice. Go around, and then everybody introduce himself and share something about yourself. And then we got into stories, and then we took a break. But I said, when we come back, I want to hear each one of you's grandma and grandpa story. And when he came back, he didn't remember he didn't have a grandma and grandpa. So that showed me something about him, that taught me something about him, about how he was raised. So when we learn about where we come from and how we were raised, it showed me how I can connect better with him, because he's struggling. He's still struggling as a young man. He's only 22. But, what if I didn't have my grandpa? I didn't have my dad, but I had my grandpa. And I kind of adopted all the other dads my friends had. I learned from them. I just learned to learn. Just take it on and go with it. So even one of my best friends, dad said that, he felt like a son to me. There was only two boys, but I hung out with them all the time and was raised with them. So I was thankful for that, for him to say that. To get on this red road, that dream, if I didn't follow it, if you don't follow these things, it's just going to bother you even more. It scared the crap out of me, but I still had to get up and go and do and see and watch and listen. That's why you got 2 ears, right? Sometimes I need to know over here. There's a big one right here, right in the center. All the directions, above, below, 7. Remember that 7 one, right? And a heartbeat. I can't wait to watch this guy right here. He's going to show up in maybe April. I know June for sure. All right. It's being recorded. So we're on camera. We need fire keepers, we need smudgers. That flow we had earlier, she talked about flow. Those smudgers have to. Even some guys quit smudging to dance. It's easier to dance. A smudger has to go in and out, go to the fire, go get off the steer, keep going. It's a lot of work. It's not work. It's love. Keep going. But that seer is the protection. You become the protectors of those dancers as they're in the spirit world. So how many grandmas and grandpas are here right now? I mean, I don't know much about it. I'm just getting vibrations on all directions right now. It's like a young me. I cut my hair like that once, and my daughters were like, Dad, going and keep doing what she's doing, and that was, I don't know if I've ever been in one as strong as that, like that this morning, so thank you. Our feminine energy is beyond the beyond. We need it. So, like she said, we men, when we feel needed to protect, we're going to stand.
Where's the mirror?
We're going to stand between that and whatever for you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Back to Chief. I have to keep blaming him, you know. And some of you do walking there, very extreme. I mean, he's on my yoga to the, yeah, lightning hit him too, yeah. He's a child, he's running and it hit him on the ground and he got his legs and things, so. Yeah, good. I got it during the fast. It wasn't too many vision quests I went on there. They did just, I seen lightning like I've never seen lightning before. Does anyone know what yoga is? Somebody, it's an interesting lesson. So, and even the Pipestone guys came down. A couple of them are David Watson, Watson. We're helping with that Pipestone. Sundance came down because they're part Choctaw. They came to Oklahoma with us. And they're just serious, they got their stuff. And that hill around, like to run them out of there and everything. We got a hill around, I promise you. I've been and they were like, I don't know how y'all do this. This is too much yoga medicine. And they were just spinning. They were spinning out. They were just going. That's how we were made. Okay. If I go against it, I'm the same. If you get too angry, upset, write about it. If you don't cry or laugh, write about it. You gotta stay in the center, right? Again, back to our voice and men crying. That is a ceremony. You have to acknowledge it. You have to honor it. I have a gift here that I wear. This little teardrop. We have been learning to bring back our Choctaw way. We had the year cycle when someone crossed. And then in the Sundance, we have a memorial chair for them to honor them, to dance with them once more again in their spirit. And we had that, the ladies come in the fall, I think, to this bee and Anella, am I saying that? Aloha. They gifted me this because we had that ceremony for our relative and we cried. Yaya Chito, and Choctaw's big cry. You honor the circle of life in a 1-year cycle, and when they after they cross it, you do that 1 year. You have to let them go. You have to release them. Though we get to cry for them one more time. You can't hold on to them. So this was given to her by an elder grandma of the 13 grandmas. And they said, you'll meet a man someday that can balance in his emotions. And so we cried for our friend that day, our brother. And we all hugged. And his family was there with us. Some of the family came. So I'm very honored to wear this, but to cry. It's healing. You have to release what is, you can't carry it. You keep carrying it. You have to let it go. So those tears are a prayer back. So find a way, find your elders, cry. Don't be ashamed of crying anymore. That's part of the healing process for all of us. Air, fire, earth, and water. Again, this water has been on that land now since about 2005. Somewhere early 2000. But to go back to that land and that water, and I carry it out with me. I can't only bring the stuff in the store, right? They gotta grab something quick to drink to, but I'll keep this water with me thankful for it. Because it's activated. Mother Earth activates it. A little story of Japan. How much time do I have? A little story of Japan. They go over there and they were at Sundance, at that 96 Sundance, and they invited us to Japan. So I went, and we got to do a little talk with them. Well, Bondi Mountain, build a lodge out of bamboo, tear it back down. You have to make things better than you found it. Bamboo and duct tape. It was wonderful, it was a blessing. But the second time I went, we got to have a place like this, and people, there was actual band coming to America, Sundancing and going back. So they knew how to build a lodge, set it all up, and fired all. But they wanted us to do what we do on the third round. It's the clown round. It's the heel round. It's when they show up. Because in the Sundance, you gotta be serious. You gotta be perfect. You gotta be strong. But these relatives that come in the spirit world are to test you. But as a dancer, you have to have discipline. You can't be tempted. You have to look at that tree or the sun or whatever they have you facing. And you cannot smile, you cannot laugh, you have to dance, you have to pray for the people. You're not praying for yourself. You're not dancing for yourself. You're praying for everything beyond yourself. But these relatives come in and just mess it up. They can do anything and everything, and they do. Right, Linda? She saw the Oklahoma one, man. She's a believer. It's out there. So, we did it in Japan. One lady, I was getting dog food, and I said, okay, let's get dog food. You must have about 14 dogs like me too, don't you? And she walked up to me, and I was going, no ma'am, I gotta go. She's just following me out the store, hollering at me down the aisle. Sorry, humans aren't really interesting. My kids have to hear all these stories all the time too. They have to live with me. So when the company comes over and I get to tell stories again, they're just going, oh my God. Daughters. So, my oldest though is a lot like me. She is the clown. She likes to get people laughing too. So shared with Grandma that first song in Ojibwe. She went to Minnesota to learn that song, and now she sings that song in the lodge for us. Blessing the Lord. You get a pin drop in the dirt when she sings. Here's and she learned it from my grandma up there. So, again, like GreyEagle said, our elders are very important. Go sit with them, share with them, take them coffee, like we used to, blanket, tobacco, sit with them, listen, because you're going to become the carriers of the knowledge that they carry before they go. So, I know my time's coming, so I'm sharing. I have to give all of this back. I have to give it away. It doesn't belong to me. I have the grandsons, I have the new ones coming, the dancers and all that. You gotta let them, you gotta share with them. But they're my greatest teacher. When those guys come and dance and they get mad at me, I always tell them, you're gonna love me that first 4 days of purification, but the next 4 days of dancing, you're not gonna like me very much. I just start fasting and start praying. And they just look at me and look at you. I'd stand behind them. Keep praying, keep praying, keep dancing. It's a little tougher with, the serious guys, yeah, you just go, let's go. But the clown standing behind them, I gotta tease, I gotta play, I gotta find that spot that they don't like sometimes. When I started this walk, I remember I was a young guy, I could just do nothing, goof off. And, nope, it's your turn. Yeah. Now I get to tell these guys what to do. 5 big minutes. Let's see. I want to say thank you to GreyEagle too. Last night, me and I got to share our stories. We sat and talked and told each other's stories. He's amazing. If you get a chance to connect with him, beautiful, beautiful stuff. He's got some good stuff. So, me, I just sit on the floor and paint and draw with my kids, grandkids. I like the kids. I just like to play. Don't forget to play. Right? You draw, color, paint. Paint got on my face. Be happy and enjoy life. Right? That's all Creator wants you to be. Be happy, be healthy, enjoy life. Simple. Right? It sounds simple. Wait a minute. Simplify as best you can. Doesn't mean to go down to nothing. Simplify. Get things a little bit in order. Have the bare minimum you can. And I'm teaching my kids too. If power goes out, here's what you do. That's how you get water. Here's how we do it. Learn these little steps. That's all. That's not bad. It's going to go out. It's going to go out. They don't have it. I know they're going to be without the phone and all that stuff, electricity or whatever, if it does happen. Right? I didn't grow up with that stuff, so I don't know. My grandpa didn't have power. He didn't have electricity or running water, so we went to the spring and cut wood by hand, and we had to cook the food by the fire. So he's got his shirt on here. He's calling in the star people. Star Nation. Peace. See that horse? So many working horses. Go with your animals. You want to find peace? Be like that horse is very, very strong. On 4-leggeds, dogs, cats, they have good energy. Your turtle. But the only thing I ask before I stop, if you find a turtle, even kids now today in school, they ask me, hey, you know what a turtle is? You're Indian, right? You know what a turtle is? Yeah. You run over them every day too. I said, if you find one, and you use it, if you're going to make a pet or whatever, but if they do the turtle races thing, I said, take it back. When you're done with it, put it back where you found it. Because they only go a certain radius from where they were born. You take them out of that, they're lost. They don't know where their family is. So, a young man said that once in the car with me. When I see the animals on the side of the road, I thought, what's it? He said, why do you say that? I said, because that's your family. It's my family. And they are not going home to their family tonight. Their family's going to miss them. So say a prayer for them. We talk. Again,
here, it was sitting on the speakers, and then it moved to a chair, and it is. Yay! You can give it to him. Yes. It's wonderful. Also, as you can see here, the lovely Terry Rivera is going around and collecting garbage. We're leaving things out in the open, so when you bring something in, a treat or something to eat, please make sure that you clean up after yourselves. Taco Bell Fridays. So thank you so much for taking care of yourselves and cleaning up for yourselves. We're going to give He's a thriller in this community. This is Thomas Johnson, Thunderbolt and the Stars. He is a lover of trilobites and rocks. He is a co-founder of Serpent Mound and Star Knowledge Peace Summits. He is the husband to Terry Rivera, also the founder of this summit. He's the house of fake elves, where the largest example of trilobites has existed. Fun fact, trilobite is the official state fossil.
Cover up the cords so they're
Very cool, and there's a museum right in Thomas's shop that is absolutely amazing. So if you haven't been to the House of Fake, make sure that you stop there. The shop itself is steeped in history and otherworldly happenings. I've experienced a few of them there. It is actually built on a foundation of a tannery that operated in Locust Grove around 1850. Thomas has been recognized for his achievements in 1984 by the Smithsonian and National Geographic. He's an author of 3 books, and he has lectured across the United States on trilobites and on the actual crater impact. You have probably also seen him on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens. He has also just recently appeared last year on Discovery Channel's Line Frog Ranch, and it's an awesome episode where Tvshka, Thomas jumps out of the porch. Really pretty awesome. So you want to check that out too. You can find that on the Discovery Channel. During the Reagan administration, he was actually contacted by the administration to work on Star Wars because of his knowledge about the unique and highly advanced visual system of trilobites known as crystal eyes. This man has such fluffy wealth of information to share, and he is a lover of this land, and I feel he and Terry are both incredible protectors, caretakers of Serpent Mound, the crater and the surrounding area. So please help me in helping my co-founder, Thomas.
And Carla, Pennsylvania state fossil is also a trilobite. Yes. In fact, yours is called the fake house, which means many eyes. So here we are. Just to give you a little background, we're sitting in the asteroid crater right now. And it's nice to have this little prop here, but it shows that Woodland Altars sits right here. So this is Conway Road, and this is Route 41. And there's a fault line that runs all the way from Greenfield, all the way down through here, past us to the Ohio River, brings a portal. And if you're not careful, you may go someplace else. But we found that last spring, I took a guy on a tour, and I thought I was old. This guy's really old. And he was wearing a 3-piece suit driving a Lincoln Continental. And he said, I've got to see this crater. He was a and a lot of people talk about portals being at Serpent Mound, and they're very good. There very well could be one there. But this spot right here at Serpent Mound, connected to that fault line, actually goes across the head of the serpent. And you can take a compass at the head or a dowsing rod, and you're going to say the same experience there. Your compass is going to undulate, and your dowsing rods will start going in a circle. And if you know something, he showed me right where it hurts. He says, yeah, you've got a problem with your muscles there, your tendons. And he says, is there anything I need to know about Serpent Mound? And I said, yeah. I said, there's a really high energy point at the head. So he went over there and came back, and he said, there's green vertical energy coming out of the ground. How did he know that? Because he could feel the energy. This guy was sitting right here. He can feel the energy. He's soaking it in right now. I got a story. I met him in 2011 in Cahokia. And he's one of the chiefs that stood on the stage and married Terry and I on 11/11/11. And 11/11. Yeah. And when was this? Oh, yeah. Oh, that was was an Oklahoma story. Yeah. Did you know that we went there to build a house back in, what year was that? Yeah. Maybe I'll wait till later and tell you that story. Yeah, it's an interesting. The heat of Oklahoma, right? Yeah. Anyway, this crater that we're sitting inside of, this is like a bowl, okay? We're right about here. And the ground that we're standing on right now has been displaced from way up here on the top of the Appalachians. So this is the edge of the Appalachian Mountains right here, okay? And this is the actual rim of the crater that fits inside of it. So when this happened 320 million years ago, this was an ocean. We weren't even Pangea yet, but we were underwater. And this asteroid comes sailing in and made this crater. This is what you see now is 5 miles wide. Supposedly it was at least 10 miles wide at the time, okay? But it hit the ocean, probably created a tidal wave around the Earth, all right? And it drove a hole 6,000 feet deep in the ground right here next to Serpent Mound, a little place called Horner Chapel Road. And the reason we know it was that deep, they actually core drilled it looking for chromium, and they didn't find it. The mining industry went all over this crater in 1960 and went down 6,000 feet periodically trying to find the chromium deposit, thinking that they had the mother lode here. And what they were picking up were elements, what they call siderophile elements, minute elements that can only be read by a mass spectrometer. But mining industries have these great tools, and they analyze this rock called breccia. Usually I bring it here and hand it out, but I don't have any today. You can come down to the shop if you get a chance. I might even bring some out tomorrow. But breccia is a real soft rock. And it has cobalt, chromium, nickel, iridium, iron, and zinc. And I have some articles. I don't know if there's enough here to pass around, but if you want it, if you already have one, we'll take one. But there's an article describing what's in that breccia material. You can go on YouTube as well and see our video. It's called Serpent Mound Impact Crater Tour. And that's put out by the Strange Road up in Columbus. They're a nice podcast. But anyway, that material, that breccia material brought the mining industry in, and they core drilled this whole thing. And at the time, they didn't know it was an asteroid crater. It was called a cryptovolcanic structure. And that was termed by Dr. John Locke back in 1832. So following John Locke's literature, I knew about John Locke before the crater. He did a lot on the state fossil wildlife. He was a geologist. And I started reading his literature when I did work at Cedar Creek Lake back in the 80s for the Smithsonian. And my job up there was just to study the state fossil in situ or in formation and figure out its life habits and growth, how it happened, what was feeding on it, what it was eating. And I spent 3 years on my hands and knees for 4,000 hours, basically. And I got paid $1 an hour by the Smithsonian on a grant to do that. And to me, it wasn't so much the expenditure of time, but it was the people that came to me while I was on my hands and knees wanting to know more. So every day I had to do a lecture at Cedar Creek in the auditorium. Sometimes twice a day. And I didn't know any of these people, they were all college people. But if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. I really would. But while I was doing that study, they said you need to find out where the first examples were found. So go to John Locke's literature, all right, let's do the literature. There it is, Adams County, Ohio. Okay, I'm from Michigan originally. I had no idea where Adams County is. I'm in Warren County. And so I drove down here, and I was standing in this little creek in the middle of nowhere. From here, it's about 15 miles away. And it's what they call a type locality, where the first examples of our state fossil were found. And lo and behold, this guy drives by at around 41, slammed on basically now we just walk down the creek and pick up a few examples of fossils. Sometimes we'll bring a college in, but with my daughter and my grandsons, that they're probably going to end up with their property too. So, and they all love fossils. Every time they come out, they go down there and collect. It's amazing. So that got us to Adams County, basically. So I set up shop there. I bought a old home, a little old 1960 home, and I paid for it with a trilobite, because the trilobites that we're finding were enormous size. They were 10 inches up to 16 inches. So a lot of museums around the United States have the specimens. A lot of them are here in Ohio. The Ohio Historical Society has a copy of one. There's one in Columbus in the governor's office on the wall. There's one at Ohio State University at Orton. There's one at Miami University in Oxford. Cincinnati Museum has one. The Boone Shopton Dayton has one. Indianapolis State Museum, Denver, Houston, American Museum, they're all over. So all those museums are keeping me in business, basically. Thanks to wealthy patrons and philanthropists like Bill Gates, he's a monster collector, believe it or not. He has a T-Rex in his dining room. So, but you never know when to look at him, right? Back to the crater, on impact, hitting an ocean, and going through all this process. It was south of the equator when it happened, okay? This we're talking 320 million years ago. So, as time went on, the continents started drifting. This was south of the equator when this happened. So it's a very big area, right? But eventually the land rose, the Appalachians came about, everything started eroding. And 1,000 see the central uplift where the asteroid hit. Okay, that's all vertical rock structure. Or you can walk out the front door here and walk down the driveway right next to by the portage on down at the bottom where Eddie has his camp set up. He's selling goods from Guatemala. Mile and a half away, that's this spot right here. And you're looking at the central uplift or where the asteroid hit. So that part is still there because that rock is all vertical and weather's got a slower pattern than the rest of the crater. So it's kind of cool. And then on the cliff outside here, side of it actually was the steepest part of the crater, and everything slid down off of that and filled the bottom end. So when John Locke came here in 1832, he was over here in this little section, and this is Nature Conservancy property, just before you go up the rim here into Sinking Spring. And you can walk up this ledge here, and this rock, he turned around and looked back over this way at 320 million, he says, there's something wrong here. Because geologically, everything was upside down. And it's impossible unless you have something like this situation. But at that time, he said, it's cryptovolcanic, meaning, he didn't know what he was talking about. Because cryptovolcanic means something blew up from underneath. They didn't know what it was. There was no gas pockets. It's just, he just didn't understand what asteroid craters were. And getting back to how did I get to Locust Grove is really interesting because 1996 is a really important year. And in 96, I was living on the type locality for the state fossil. And my wife went to Egypt, my ex, and she was always going over there. She's in Egyptology. And someone in the group said, you know where Serpent Mound is? You get used to it after a while. But it's almost weekly something happens like that. Even Sasquatch stuff, rocks get dances. There's Bigfoot patrol in the county. And they disbanded. They were only active for about a year. But they have a couple of rocks in the shop that were thrown in them. They're basically pieces of concrete. One concrete, one piece of a cinder block. And Derek had a rock thrown at her in a ceremony in Brush Creek.
This morning,
Did you have one this morning?
I was looking for my notebook, listening.
Serpent Mound. We're watching the sky, and we're looking at So anyway, in this day and age, that's the best way to do it. You know, undercover, very, very slowly, silently. We don't hit the mass media very often, and they don't want to hear about stuff like this. They want to hear about the magnetic anomaly. I'm going to flip this over and I'll show you a little bit about Serpent Mound. This is what they're not going to tell you about Serpent Mound. Okay, up here they have a narrative. And their narrative is that Serpent Mound was built by Fort Ancient. Okay, and Fort Ancient is a tribe, late Woodland, okay? Late Woodland, 9 to 1100 AD. And the reason they say it's Fort Ancient is because they found carbon in the Serpent Mound that was dated at 9 to 1100 AD. They found 2 pieces, and they found a 3rd piece, but it was dated 350 BC. Okay, that puts it in late Archaic, or the Adena period, what the white man calls Adena. But it's that age period, about 350 BC, and who were the Adena? The Adena came across the Gulf of Mexico, probably from Guatemala or somewhere down there. They were probably Mayan, okay? That was their lineages. And they came across the Gulf of Mexico, up the Ohio River, from Mississippi to the Ohio, to the Brush Creek, okay? This river right here, this waterway. And they built over 100 serpents in North America. They're everywhere. And they're basically markers or calendars for solstice and equinox, planting and harvesting. They were farmers. Okay, so the farmers, what can you do with farming? You can support a large civilization. Okay, so what's a squash, corn, and beans? That's the 3 sisters. Those are the ones that they brought in, and they started farming in these river bottoms along Serpent Mound, along Brush Creek. And they supported a huge population of people. Right? So they built the Serpent Mound, and there's actually 4 mounds associated with the head of the serpent and the oval. The oval is what we believe is a turtle. Okay, they don't want to go there with the turtle idea because they don't look at these 2 mounds, but this is light art. So to see these 2 mounds, you have to walk up around the head of the serpent, and this ledge drops off. It's fairly steep. There's an 80-foot difference between the top of this and the bottom, all right? And what's happened over the last 2,000 years is this whole ledge is collapsing. And those 2 mounds used to be uneven with the head, all right? Like these other. There was 3 bodies in this mountain. They don't talk about that. Because that makes Serpent Mound a vernal mound, not just a refugee mound. Okay? So we believe that there was probably bodies in these 2 mounds as well. But they never excavated it. We never got in there. We never looked at it. And a lot of the archaeology people I talked to, oh, that's just a pile for debris that we found. It doesn't mean anything. It's because they didn't want to walk down 5 feet off the edge of that pathway and do some explorations. They didn't. So it didn't fit with the top part, so they left it. If you look at the way Serpent Mound undulates, if you stand there and kind of, when you get up past this point, it starts going like this, okay? Why is it going like that? Well, if you look at these 2 mounds, if they were up here even, this whole area, being an artist, if you were going to create something, would you do it on an uneven surface? You would have to have a nice straight path, something that's level. So if you look at here, and here, and here, and here, those are gullies, those are outliers. And what's happened is this whole area is full of, let's say, sinkholes, okay? So it's subject to erosion. So the whole Serpent Mound is eroding. And what's happened over the years is these areas have dipped down and created the serpent to undulate. So at one time it was perfectly flat, 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago. So they don't take any of that into effect because over the years, since the 1800s, when Putnam reconstructed this, it was only ankle high when they found it. You imagine, look at it today, it's 3 feet high. Well, it's because Putnam, his original job before he went to Harvard, he was an engineer, and he was a surveyor, and he knew all about rates of erosion. So he built it back the way he thought it should be. And I think even Putnam knew that it was older than Fort Ancient, just from the bodies that they were finding there. And they talked about the flatheads, the short flat-headed people, and he says they came from South America. But yet when the archaeology people get a hold of it, they said, wait a minute, no, it's Fort Ancient. Why did they say it's Fort Ancient? When they did the carbon study, I might get in trouble for this, but in 1990, when the state geologist or archaeologist did the study, he only took one sample, and he took it from down here in the tail. And only went down so many centimeters. He didn't go to the base. Okay, he just took it off the upper part, and he still picked up a 350 BC carbon. And the other 2 carbons, 911 AD, he wrote a thesis. And he compared this and paralleled it to Sunwatch Village. How many of you know where Sunwatch is? Okay, what's at Sunwatch? It's a Fort Ancient site. And it's a site where you do alignments. You have one post and you got 3 huts. The sun would hit the post, cast a shadow through the center hut, equinox. Another hut, winter solstice, another hut, summer solstice. It's an equinox and solstice.
The winter solstice, the line lines up to go into the 7 moon, for lack of a better word, line.
Okay, yeah. It's all the doorways, right? So when he did his thesis, he said, well, they knew it was Fort Ancient. I know the guy that did work on that, Jay Hyman. He spent his entire life digging up that area. But they know Fort Ancient built that. But they were sun worshipers as well. They were farmers. And so were the Hopewells. And so were the intrusive mound. And so were the Archaics, the Avena. So there was 4 occupations of Serpent Mound. But they decided to take just one occupation and say, well, let's say it's this one. Because we have more carbon from here than the other. So that's what they did. They biased the study. And they're still living that today. I hate to say it. You would think they would open up their minds and say, you know, it could be older. Let's go with the idea that these original people were farmers and they're the ones that started it. Then you got Graham Hancock that comes in. What happened to Graham Hancock? He got banned. Why did he get banned? Because he had a different narrative. So his narrative was maybe the Paleos project. Well, guess what? They found paleo artifacts in Serpent Mound. They're all over this area. And you think about it, the last ice age, there was 2 ice ages here that affected Serpent Mound. The biggest one was 130,000 years ago. And it actually came up to the very edge here and scoured out the Ohio River Valley, basically. But this 130,000 year date, this is what Graham Hancock's talking about. Because everything east of the glacial melt, in other words, the ice cap here could have been as much as 1 mile to 2 miles thick. And if you're standing in Serpent Mound on that prominence and it stopped the ice, everything east of there is green. So it's populated with paleo. So the thing that I got with Graham is the paleos they were hunter-gatherers, they were not farmers. So why would they build a calendar to mark the seasons? So that's my logic with it. You know, he may have another explanation for it, but you know, the logical camp current property, but it butts right up next to the Fort Ancient site. And you can walk along the field, and there's a stone circle in the valley, and it faces summer solstice sunrise. And that is Fort Ancient. So the Fort Ancient were watching the sun too. They weren't always building ones with undulations, sometimes it'd just be a pointer. So the other surface there, but, I mean, and that was, you would say that's Aztec, I would say, probably about 1,000 years old. So,
They're just like the Nazca lines, if you haven't heard about it, right entirely. Just like the Nazca lines, but they're in the United States.
there's over 600 of them in the desert floor. And it's cool because that's all, he's over 200 foot high. Somebody actually drove a four-wheeler across it, and they had to put a gate around the fence. But you can still go out there today and see it. If you have a drone, it's really cool. You can get out higher. That's another thing, how did they build these things? How did they, I mean, this here is mathematics, I can understand that. Next to the picnic shelter, there's a old mound, maybe 3 foot high, and that's the center of the wood hinge. It goes all the way across the parking lot. So what they do is they put posts down, figure out the mathematical in a circle, and they would figure out the solstices, equinox, and alignments. And then they would take and map it out, and they would build it. They wouldn't sit there for 17 and a half or 18 years waiting for all of it to happen, because there's also lunar alignments in there as well. And all of the signage used to be there at one time, and for whatever reason, they just decided, let's not confuse people anymore, let's take all the signage down. And I don't know, I think now it's a little confused. They have to read what they're writing on their little placards, and a lot of that, we're talking about the Mississippians, they're talking about all kinds of different tribes that utilize the circle. And it, to me, it's just more confusing. But anyway, this hole here is the borrow pit. That's what they use to make this. And they say, well, how can you get that much dirt out of the hole? Well, it was only ankle high. It wasn't that big really, in real life. But they keep reconstructing it and adding dirt to it. The last time I saw they added dirt to it was the harmonics and virtues in 1987. In 1987, there's pictures out there, and there was literally tens of thousands of people that went out. And they trumped it down. So they had to bring trucks of dirt in and build it back up. So that's one thing. That's one thing that they did. The other thing is this mountain over here is the giant. All right, it's the Adeno Mound. All right, in the museum, the Serpent Mound, there was a giant on exhibit until 1990. That's when repatriation came, the macro. And they took that as the only skeleton that existed there. The rest of them are in either at Harvard or Ohio State University for the Historical Society or Connection, what they call it. There was 20 skeletons. Okay? They're all gone. They were gone early 1900s. But the giant was on exhibit in the museum until 1990. And I got to see it really cool. I got a postcard of it in the shop. It's 8 foot 9 3/4 inches tall. It was 7 foot from the knees up. Because when they found it, we didn't have anything from the knees down and we didn't have any hands. Recently, I talked to the caretaker. It's really funny. I was at the post office in Peoples, and they know it's a small town. And I had just done this thing on blind frog. And I walked in the post office, and everybody said, we saw you on TV, blah, 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 blah. Well, in line is the park manager that retired from there, Bill Gustin. And he just happened to be there. He says, oh yeah, I saw that. He says, I know where the giant is. I said, do tell him. He said, well, we hollowed out a cedar log and put him in there and buried him there. I said, thank you, Bill. So now I know that giant is still there. And I'm sure everyone wants to know where it is. Rest in peace. But they do exist. And they were ancient. And he had one eye orbit, part of the upper, and most of the skull was there. We went back home and up the stairs, you know. We were living I had a cottage on a glacial moraine in Ontario. And my mom went to Dad and she said, "Where'd you find that?" And I said, "Down the beach, Mom." We went down there, and there was a hill there, we call it Bird Mountain. And the swallows would build a nest in the dirt of this glacial moraine. And at the top of that, there was bones sticking out, about 18 inches below the surface. And all down the face of that hill, the tibias, the femurs, and the ribs, and the vertebrae. And so we started thinking, and from the time I'm 5 years old till the time I'm 10, we collected 18 complete skeletons off that hillside. But this is in Canada. And at that time, there was nothing protecting bones in the ground. So today there is, of course. But in 1962, the Ontario Provincial Police showed up at our door at our cottage and said, "We understand you have some bones." And my mom said, "Yeah, here." And we had all these boxes, and we had all these cruisers come in, OPP, and they took our bones. And I had learned how to preserve them from this minister, of all people, showed me how to preserve them in bone. And it was glue and water. So everything was in boxes, they took them away. We were all sad. And then 45 days later, here they come. Going back up, loading the boxes. And they said, they're prehistoric, they're 1,100 years old, they're glacial king Indians. And you can have them. Here's your certificate from the University of Windsor for carbon dating. It's all legal. My mom, now we got a bunch of bones. So lo and behold, we brought them all back over to the Ambassador Bridge legally and stored them. And in 1990, when repatriation came, I dug a hole right here in Ohio and I buried it. And I gotta say, when that happened, all my nightmares stopped. Because from the time I was a little kid till that time, I would have these nightmares of hands coming out of the ground trying to grab them. It really wake me out. I never knew why. And then I met Chief Golden, and I talked to him about that. He said, "Well, there's spirits attached to me." Little did I know. So they're still resting here in Ohio. I've talked to some people that do repatriations, and they said, "You need to put them back where they belong." And I said, "They belong in the ground and perfectly happy." They're not going back to Canada. But, and you know, if they weren't happy to do it, I'm sure. But, and I don't know if they've ever had that experience. They've ever had that situation. But when you live with these bones, things happen. And, you know, I just treated them as an ornament, you know, something cool. But somewhat scientific, of course. And, you know, I respected them. And I'm glad to see whenever I see somebody that has a bone, somebody will have a skull or a femur or something that they found in there, I say, "Put it back where you found it, put it back in there." You know? Put it back in the rest. That's where it's going. So you learn these things, but it takes a long time for all that to come together. Not really appropriate. Maybe it should be. Now I'm sure AI, we're just asking AI to tell me all about what you said. That's scary too, the sunshine laws. And for them to do something behind your back against your wishes is against the law. So you just have to be a lawyer, and that's what our groups are doing. They're working, they're networking everywhere with lawyers, and there's a statewide petition that'll be coming up shortly. We just did the initial one, and we're gonna have another ballot or another initiative go out for 200,000 signatures, and we'll get it on the ballot. And not my backyard. From here, I'll take some questions. Anybody got any questions? I'm sorry. It's at the end of the parking lot when you pull in. And this is all color coded. Actually, this isn't water. There's a little bit of water. But this is just river bottom. But if you stand back in here, this actually looks like the Serpent Mound. sacred. They camp behind the big mound, with this whole area back in here, and they put leech lines on top of hundreds of burials. Thank you. There you go.
Interesting enough,
Yes.
when they did that, right, their regular bathrooms that they built so nice and flush colored has not worked in a year.
Yeah.
It will not work, and they keep on bringing plumbers over.
Yeah, there's outhouses up there now, quarter bands. Yeah. It's interesting. Yes. Hey, are you from Adams County? Okay. The statewide transition must be the shop, we had it in there initially, and then they took it to get another one started. So, I would imagine next week the people will be petitions to the shop too. It's from every county. What county are you from? Okay. Like 88 petitions. Yeah, as long as you're a registered voter, that's all they're concerned about. Yes, sir.
Do you think there's any correlation between this giant and what's called the Nephilim in the Bible?
You know, that's kind of like when religion and science comes together, but don't work.
Have you ever studied science change?
No. No, but I've heard people that have come in and talked about that, you know, are the Nephilim actually the giants? Well, maybe, but that means that the big flood didn't take care of all the giants, right? Yeah. Oh, and after, okay. Wow. But they exist, I don't, Sasquatch, you know, they're the giants, I don't know. But there are some pretty big critters running around here, and, you know, nobody wants to talk about it. I'll say it's crazy. Kinda like UFOs, right? In fact, that's crazy when I saw that UFO. But, yes, sir.
Yes, I was curious. I know that there was once an obelisk at the head of the serpent that was pushed off. Is there anything to preserve the obelisk on the bottom of the hill?
Take it, move it over my property, yeah. They'd really love to see that thing disappear eventually, because that turns Serpent Mound into a megalithic site, and they don't wanna go down that road. So, you know, they're already setting concrete about there in America. But, it's actually a piece of dolomite quickly came off of the ledge. It's what we call a piece of dolomite. And it's a lot of rocks that fall down off of that ledge. In fact, right here, let's see, right about here, you can't see it on the map, but there's a big rock down there called the underwater circle. And we had a designated trail there until 2017. In 2017, we did a big ceremony up there with chief and the lodge and the natives and people from all over the earth. They had an international drum circuit there for the equinox. They said, we give you a permit, but how many people are we gonna have? We said, oh, this is, well, 1,100 people showed up. And they didn't like it. So they closed our trail down. And now they're putting brush at the trailhead. But we still go down there, and it's where you water ceremony. And it's a very sacred spot. So if you ever get a chance, yeah, look up at the water serpent. It looks just like the head of the serpent. It's facing to the northwest, same orientation as summer solstice sunset. And it also forms what we call a triangle. There's this mound to the head,